Call the meeting to order. Have a gavel. Let's go ahead and start the meeting. Do the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's masks and hand sanitizers on the table outside if anybody's looking for something like that. We'll do roll call.
Allen. Here. Bailey. Bailey. Considine. Considine. Farster.
Here.
Horseman.
Here.
Hudson. Hudson. Humphrey.
Here.
Kitson.
Present.
Copine.
Here.
McLean.
Here.
Minimi.
Here.
Nicholson.
Here.
Norberg.
Here.
Palin.
Here.
Sheline.
Here.
Shippert.
Present.
Scrogstad.
Here.
White. White. Williams.
Present.
Wilson.
Here.
Zeman. Zeman. Olson.
Here. Thank you. Under announcements, we got please mute or turn off your cell phones during the meeting. And we'll start out with RWE Wind Company. They asked to speak to us. We got Jeffrey Jones and Lindsay Carls from RWE. If you want to take the podium.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Jeffrey Jones. I am the Wind Development Manager with RWE Renewables. This is Lindsay Carls, our Development Outreach Manager, as well as Evan Desrenine, our land agent, who will, in a sense, be the face of this project out here on a day-to-day basis. We are here just real quick to talk about RWE and our proposed Lee County Wind Project. RWE is a German company that has been producing electricity for over 120 years. As of 2019, we are the #4 producer of renewable energy around the globe. RWE also ranks among the top 10 onshore wind companies in the United States. We have been active in North America since 2006, and more specifically in Illinois since 2009. We take pride in our approach to develop, own, and operate our wind farms for the lifetime of the project. We currently own and operate more than 29 wind farms across the country, with 3 of those in Illinois, 1 in Macon County, 1 in Ford County, and 1 in Iroquois County. These wind farms consist of over 300 turbines running safely day and night across Illinois. We have invested over $1 billion in the Midwest and over $95 million in direct landowner payments. In Lee County, we're proposing a 200 megawatt wind farm in the southeast corner of the county near Bradford, Lee Center, and Viola Townships. We're looking to tap into the 345 kilovolt electric junction to Nelson transmission line that runs east to west across the county. We are currently in the early stages of development, but we believe this project will consist of roughly 48 to 66 turbines over roughly 15,000 to 20,000 acres. We're hopeful that construction could begin late 2024, early 2025. And this project will have the ability to power up to 60,000 homes with clean, sustainable, low-cost energy. The Lee County Wind Project will consist of a roughly $300 million investment and will provide landowners a steady source of income with over $40 million potentially in direct landowner payments. It will create up to 300 construction jobs and 8 to 12 high-paying long-term jobs. This project will also provide the county and its townships with over $40 million in new tax revenue. We aim to form lasting relationships with landowners and communities that host our wind farms. We are committed to remaining transparent through the life of the project while maintaining open communication with all state, local, and federal stakeholders. We are committed to working with landowners and local community to be good neighbors. From farming and conservation to day-to-day living, RWE is dedicated to minimizing the impact on land use. We work with landowners, local officials, and area residents to ensure our wind farm design, construction, and operation are done in harmony with the surrounding community. We know that it is a privilege to be able to come into a community and build a wind farm. And we work tirelessly as a good neighbor to earn and keep your trust. We are committed to protecting the safety and welfare of the community by following the county ordinance to mitigate shadow flicker, noise, and other concerns. We are committed to limiting sound from turbines and abiding by the agricultural impact mitigation agreement. This project is still in the very early stages of development, and we look forward to coming back and answering any and all questions as this project progresses out of this early stage. We appreciate your time. Thank you for having us, and we look forward to working with you all over the coming years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on the agenda, we got Jamie Lawson. Got 5 minutes.
I guess for the record, Mr. Chairman, I just spoke with Charlie Boonstra, and I don't know if he's prepared to make a statement at this time regarding the conversation we just had publicly.
And I will speak to that. So Mr. Lawson and I did discuss, he had some comments tonight that had to do with a specific petition that's pending before the Zoning Board of Appeals. I instructed him, as I instructed the chairman, that it is not appropriate to discuss what's going on during that petition because the Zoning Board of Appeals is in the fact-finding phase at this point, and based on the due process rights of both the petitioner and anybody else that was willing to and able to testify and present evidence during that Zoning Board of Appeals needs to have that right to do so, and this is not the forum for it at this point. So that is correct. I did talk to Mr. Lawson, and I did tell him that based on that, I would be instructing the chairman if that was to go into a specific project or a specific land where that project may be, that he is to cease and desist that, and that the board is to disregard any of that because it's not appropriate as the Zoning Board of Appeals is still taking in facts.
And I did agree with Charlie. My only concern is I have been told by several county board members when questions are asked that they've been told not to talk about the project. So my only concern is this would be the last point to talk about the project prior to a vote, because we're not allowed to say anything when the vote's taking place. So I feel as if my comments or the voice of the county regarding that project is kind of being on a gag order. So that's my opinion on that. I wasn't aware of the order, Mr. Chairman, of how I believe on the agenda is Mike, is there a Mike Book that's going to be sworn in tonight?
Yes.
Okay, my questions, would it be appropriate time to ask questions regarding that?
No, I think you got time to speak, 5 minutes to speak and no questions. Is
No questions, okay.
that correct, Charlie?
So there's no questions.
This is not a trial. This is just a open forum to speak.
Okay. I believe that if newly appointed Lee County Board Chairman Michael Book has any relation to the Don Book Trust that has 224 acres participating in South Dixer Solar Project, or any relation to the Michael Book, if he is or related to the Michael Book and Aaron Book, 158.64 acres, that he should be bound by number 7 of Article J of the Lee County Board Rules of Procedures. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to approval of minutes, board minutes of the September 16th, 2021 regular county board meeting. Is there any corrections? If then, I'd take a motion to approve them. Mr. Nicholson. Mr. Forster, seconds. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll go to the resolutions. We've got 2 here. We have appointment of Nancy Naylor to Lee County Board District 3. Mr. Norberg makes a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Copine seconds it. Any discussion? We'll need a roll call vote.
Scroggstead,
Yes.
Williams. Williams,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Farster,
Yes.
Horstman,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copain,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Minime,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Norberg,
Yes.
Palin,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Motion passed. Also, we need we have appointment of Michael Book to the Lee County Board District 4. Mr. Norberg first, Mr. Kitson seconds. Any discussion? We'll do this by roll call vote also.
Williams, Williams,
I can't hear you.
Marvin, we need a yes or no.
No. Excuse me, my hearing aid is not working right. Okay, yes.
Wilson,
No.
Allen,
Yes.
Farster,
Yes.
Horstman,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copain,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Minime,
Yes.
Naylor. I'm sorry. Scratch that. Nicholson,
Yes.
Norberg,
Yes.
Palin,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Scroggstead,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Motion passes. Clerk Nancy Peterson will give the oath of office to Ms. Naylor and Mr. Buck at this time. Do you want to come forward?
Appointed to the office of the county board in Nancy River's third district of Lee County in the county of Nancy, Illinois. For the fourth district of the Lee County in the county of Illinois, do you solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the Lee County Board District.
Okay, moving on. We got 3 Joseph Meyer tax auctions. Do I have a motion for the resolution? Ms. Shippert? Do I have a second? Mr. Nicholson? Any discussion? We'll have to do this by roll call vote.
Wilson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Book,
Yes.
Farster,
Yes.
Horstman.
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copain,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Minime,
Yes.
Naylor. Yes. Nicholson,
Yes.
Norberg,
Yes.
Palin,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Scrogstad,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes. Good time.
Olson.
Yes. Motion passed. Thank you. Moving down to the petitions coming to the zoning board of appeals. We've got a petition 21-P-1577 petitioner Matthew Lindstrom. Parcel numbers there in Palmyra Township. The petitioner is requesting a map amendment from R2 single family resident district to Ag 1 for the purpose of raising family owned farm animals. Petition B would be petition 21-P-1578 petitioner Stephen and Tracy Kitzman. Parcel numbers there in Dixon Township. The petitioners desire to rezone the subject property to Ag 1 Rural Agricultural District. The petitioners desire to combine the adjacent partners owned by them, parcels owned by them, combine them all being identified by the property that's there. Number C, letter C, petition 21-P-1579, petitioner Patrick and Joni Mulligan. Parcel numbers on their packet. In Dixon Township, the petitioners desire to rezone the subject property from R2 single family residential district to Ag 1 Rural Agriculture District. Letter D, petition 21-P-1580, petitioner Patrick and Joni Mulligan. Again, parcel numbers in your packet. In Dixon Township, the petitioners desire a special use for the purpose of an automobile repair shop minor, contingent upon the subject property being rezoned Ag 1 Agriculture District, allowing a single family dwelling. With all four of them, if there's no objections, I'd request a motion to approve all four petitions at once. Mr. Kitson moves, Mr. Farser seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor of doing all four at once signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Now we're going to approve all four petitions. Do I need a motion to approve all four? Mr. Nicholson first and Mr. Kitson seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving all four of them petitions signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There are no petitions coming from the zoning board of appeals. Petition coming to the planning commission. We have petition 21-PC-64. Lee County is the petitioner. Lee County desires to amend 10-15-20 solar energy systems under Title 10 of the zoning regulation and Lee County Code of Ordinances. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Norberg. Do I have a second? Mr. Kitson. Any discussion, Mr. Norberg?
Yeah, I want to fill everybody in on this. This came out of the Renewable Energy Committee. This is allowing solar in an industrial zone, specifically for a project that's going to happen over in Nelson. So that's the reason for the text amendment.
And what's happening in Nelson?
There's a green hydrogen. So it's pretty cool technology where they convert water, mix it with electricity. The hydrogen then gets used in different capacities on site, and it releases oxygen or water back through the system. So depending on the size of it, they'll either probably have one or two of these converters, and a converter is roughly 6 foot by 6 foot by 6 foot. So about the size of a large file cabinet. But they need the solar to get the green energy.
Thank you. Any more discussion or questions? We have a first, we got a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We have no petitions coming from the planning commission. At this time, we have board member comments. Would anybody like to speak? If none, we'll move to public visitor comments. Any public visitors would like to speak? If none, move down to report of committees. Finance, Mr. Sheline.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee met last Thursday and all the usual suspects were present. The report is in front of you. If there's any questions, we've got just some highlights I want to go over with you. Of course, we have the budget and levy, budget appropriation, the levy coming up and resolution later on in the meeting. We also have the ordinance of CPACE that we've been talking about for quite some time that will be coming later on in the meeting. Two things I want to highlight. One is that we'd approved an audit firm, I think last month, and we found out that there was a conflict in regards to the outfit was doing some auditing work for our health insurance, doing some actuarial work. And so that created a conflict. So we had to come back and go to the second bidder for the audit for next year, and that was Whitley. And so we have that recommendation coming. The other thing that I'd highlight is that we had a request from the sheriff in regards to the new hires that's coming in the next budget. I don't know if the sheriff would like to speak to this, but basically, go ahead, John, if you'd like to.
In the budget that's about to be approved at some point in time here this month and next month, there's 4 new hires, 2 of which we have the opportunity, 1 in patrol, 1 in corrections, to hire early before December 1st. As a matter of fact, the 1st of November, they could possibly be ready if they satisfy all the requirements of our hiring process. And there will be lateral transfers, which will allow us to employ them much earlier and not have to worry about sending them to the academy. So that was my request to finance.
Thank you, John. This was approved by finance. It's in John's budget for this year, so it does not have an impact for this year's or next year's budget. I think that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Sheeline? Thanks, Jim. Move to transportation, solid waste, Mr. Forster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Solid Waste Transportation Committee met on October 12th, 8 a.m. in Amboy. First, you have all the minutes in front of you. You should have anyway. First of all, I'd like to have a motion to approve the claims.
Mr. Shippert. First, Mr. Humphrey seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, approve the claims, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
On down the ways, you'll see that due to the UTV ordinance subcommittee, the Transportation and Solid Waste Committee was asked to consider the UTVs if they were safe to drive on county roads. After a lengthy discussion, which means about 90 minutes, the Transportation and Solid Waste Committee feels that the county UTV ordinance is followed and that all roadway users adhere to the rules of the road. The UTVs are safe on county highways. The vote was 4-1, 4 ayes, 1 nay. It passed. The only other thing I want to report on is that it did end up getting an excavator trailer for the excavator through Hawk Equipment Company on the bid price of $39,750. Next meeting will be November 8th, 2021 at 8 a.m. in Amboy. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Questions for Mr. Forster? Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
We'll move to properties planning and zoning, Mr. Nicholson.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. We met last Tuesday at 10 o'clock, hour later because of the holiday. Minutes are in your packet. A couple comments that the work on the courthouse is done, was reviewed by Greg Saunders, Tom, and myself. Went over, I had meetings with Bill Zimick, who was the major superintendent, and a gentleman by the name of Jonathan, and I can't remember his last name, was the on-site foreman. And he gave 180% of his time. There were 49 Dutchmen that were repaired. These are outside the scope of the contract. They were areas too large to patch, so they had to be partially removed and fixed correctly. There were a couple other areas that were fixed that were too large to just patch. Very nice job. Jonathan and his crew did an exceptional job. They were very conscientious and Greg, if he was here, would echo what I have to say, but he's gone week. We also are discussing with Wendler and Associates some of the renovation and remodeling and repurposing of the old LEC. And we had several meetings with him through the course of the month, and Tom and I and Greg went to his office, and then we had meetings down at the old LEC. Talked to Scott Brown today. He's the on-site guy. He's going to be doing the sketches of the new repurposing, and we're hopefully going to meet with him next Tuesday or Wednesday. Discussed it with Tom, Sheriff. I'll give you a call, and if you can accompany us, I'd sure appreciate it. That work? And we'll probably go out to his office where he can lay out blueprints and sketches and so on and so forth. So the information is forthcoming, but we're still in the very, very early stages of doing that. But we would like to get some things buttoned up and some sketches done before the weather turns bad, because it would be, a lot of the work can be done by our own maintenance staff. And we'd like to get that set up. So other than that, if anybody has any questions of me, I'll try to answer them for you.
Any questions for Mr. Nicholson? Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Go to Administrative Services, Mr. Norberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things minutes are in your pack. A couple things I want to highlight is the assessment office currently has 2 employees, a 2-employee shortage. So they're working through some details there on how they're going to rehire and reallocate some different stuff, along with one on the GIS side. And then the other thing that I want to highlight is Mr. Gorski is working on some cloud-based software rollout and some technology that we're looking to get as county board members. More to come on that, but it looks like we're going to be moving forward with some additional 20th century technology. So that is all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Norberg? Thanks, Chris. Blackhawk Hills Regional Council, Mr. Nicholson.
We had our meeting last Monday night. Discussed various grants. I'm sorry, I was going to bring my notes and didn't indicate didn't get them, but I attended the meeting by phone, and it was primarily a lot of information regarding developments around Dixon, as you're well aware of now. Dixon has made some major thrusts. I believe they annexed or planning on annexing 9 properties south of town. So much of the conversation revolved around that. So if anybody there again has questions of me, I will answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Nicholson? Thanks again, John. We'll go to 911 board. Keen Hudson's not absent tonight. Mike, do you want to go ahead and give that?
Thank you,
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman. Shelley apologizes for not being able to be here, but they're.
Oh. I forgot you there, but go ahead. We'll.
All right, they're still busy, very busy, cutting over and working with the Flex program to make sure everything is in place. There hasn't been anything new added, so other than the continuing work that they're all involved in 911 down there, that's all there is to report.
All right, thank you. Any questions for 911? Now we'll go to Mr. Copine for public safety.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public safety met October 13th, 9 a.m. in this room. Minutes from the previous meeting were approved. Claims were reviewed and approved for payment. And an update on the quarterly fines, they're reflected in the minutes that are in the packet. Sheriff made an update and statement that continuing action was being taken by civil process on issues of property and vehicles. Not a lengthy discussion as far as the UTV, other than that there's still work continuing on that, and that there has a lot. The only other real important thing, not excluding what the sheriff covered, but that will be in the minutes also. And rather than repeat all of it, you can see it there. There was an resolution for appointment of William Matthew to the West Brooklyn Fire Protection District. We approved that and sent that forward. Shortly after that, we adjourned the meeting. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Questions for Mr. Copine? Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Go down to tourism, Mr. Palin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lee County Tourism Council met on October 13th. As you noticed on your desks, our new Lee County tourism mugs have arrived. And we use them to promote Lee County and to show appreciation for people and organizations that support us, such as our board. Thank you. We're working on the our advertising for 2022. And we're going to proceed with the Z card advertising. And I'm going to continue with the full-size visitors guide. But we're going to do this in smaller quantities for each of the previous years. Now on the back of the flyer that's on your desk recites some of the activities in the area for the rest of October and the first item in November. And also our hotel motel receipts, our share of it for August was $9,250.53. This concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Palin, any questions? Thanks, Bill. Go to Health Department. Katie let me know she wasn't going to be here tonight. Is anybody from the Health Department? If none, we'll move on. Tri-County Opportunities Council, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tri-County Opportunity, we met by Zoom on the September 28th. I was not in attendance to the meeting, but I do have a report for you, and it's in my packet. And if anybody have any questions, I will try to answer them for them.
Questions for Mr. Williams? Thank you, Marvin.
You're welcome.
UCCI, Mr. Farster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. UCCI met September 27th. I was out of state and couldn't attend the Springfield meeting on that day, but you should have the minutes in your packet. Coming up actually this Saturday morning in Springfield again, I will be attending the meeting, and that's at 8 a.m., actually starting at 9 a.m. in Springfield, and I'll have a report back when that's finished up Saturday. Anyone have any questions for me? Not?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Executive claims, I need a motion to approve all claims. Mr. Kitson, Mr. Nichols seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve all county officer reports, requests for deposits of funds, and orders paid in vacation. I need a motion for that. Mr. Palin moves and Mr. Copine seconds it. Any discussion? If none discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We go down to old business. We have board rules and procedures and revisions. Mr. Norbert, do you want to?
Yeah, I don't think we're ready for anything. We know we have to get something ready here by the next board meeting to make any changes moving into next year. So I'd make a motion to table this for till the next meeting.
Mr. Nicholson seconds it. Any discussion? If none, all in favor of tabling that motion, or all in favor of tabling it, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Go down to new business. We have the Lee County Jail 2020 inspection report. We all had it emailed to us. It's a lengthy report. I need a motion to approve it. Mr. Sheeline moves. Do I have a second? Mr. Copine seconds it. Any discussion? Sheriff, do you want to point out anything in that report?
We had a discussion on public safety about this. The two items that recur occasionally are, one is the cell checks, which we're diligently working on and bringing those down to an average of about 33 to 34 minutes per cell check, which is much better. It's largely due to some things that we can change inside the jail and the staffing, which will be greatly appreciated starting December 1st. or shortly thereafter. The second thing has to do with the audit, and that's the commissary fund. So you'll see a couple findings in there. Once the audit is completing, then those findings will go away. So we've been working on the audit with Whipley, and I think there's probably been a delay between the auditor that was going to come in and Whipley finishing up our project. So hopefully with them back on board, we'll get that done within the next month.
Thank you, John. Any questions? All those in favor to approve the 2021 inspection report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Go down to the resolution, Lee County zoning fees, the pipeline fees. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Norberg, Mr. Copine seconds it. Any discussion? Ms. Shepherd?
I didn't see the fees in my packet. Are they-
Mr. Norberg?
If they're not in the packet, then
I seen the fee schedule, but I haven't looked in the packet with everybody's. I got a different packet.
Unless I overlooked them.
the resolution's in there.
Resolution, but then it says, okay. Is that separate or? That's-
Maybe you didn't get it in your packet.
I didn't see it unless I overlooked it, but
Mine was these. $5 per inch per foot.
Picking that up.
No, I'm not.
Sounded like you were struggling.
okay, yeah.
No, I did not make that up. I made it up. But that's what my recommendation was.
Yes, let's keep moving forward. Any more questions?
No.
We have a first, we have a second. All those in favor to approve the Lee County zoning fees for the pipeline, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go down to the resolution for the Illinois Transit Operating Assistance Agreements with lots. I need a motion to approve that. Mr. Sheeline moves. Do I have a second? Mr. Williams seconds it. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Go down to D in new business. We've got Amboy ordinance violations handled by Lee County State's Attorney. Do I have a motion? Mr. Kitson, Mr. Copine seconds it. Any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're down to E, GIS contract hire. Need a motion to approve. Mr. Nicholson, Ms. Shepherd seconds it. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Horstman.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. What is the contract hire? Is this an individual or does this refer to the Sidwell?
Refers to the Sidwell, and our Wendy will bring us up to speed.
Yeah, Jim, it's
question.
it's
Good
for
question.
the Sidwell company, the mapping company, so it's not to a specific individual. I will just add that different from the packet, the agreement that was in the packet, has been a couple revisions to that. I shout out to Mr. Horstman for taking a look at that and giving me some words of wisdom. So right now there is a modification to that. So there's a cap, a not to exceed per month of $3,500. That's what backing into the budget that we were spending on the employee, that'll fall within or under what the budget was monthly that we were paying for the employee. And last but not least, Jim pointed out that potentially the way that it was written, that it would be, services would be as needed. And Jim pointed out who was going to determine what services were needed. Would it be the company or would it be Lee County? So we did add language to clarify that. But otherwise, substantially what you see in your packet is the agreement. Temporary agreement until we can get somebody hired, just again, intended to be a fallback position if we get into a position where we can't keep up with things until we get somebody hired. So if there's no other questions.
Thank you, Jim, for pointing that out. You're invaluable at that. Any more discussion? All those in favor of approving the contract signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to F. These are ordinances. We're going to vote to hold them over for November. the 2022 annual budget appropriations. Do I have a motion? Mr. Sheeline, Mr. Kitson seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor of holding over the 2022 annual budget signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The 2021 tax levy for year 2022, I need a motion to hold that over for November. Mr. Sheeline, Mr. Nicholson seconds it. Any discussion? It's for the tax levy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Go down to letter H, the ordinance for CPACE. We're going to hold this over till November. Any ordinance is held over. CPACE, Commercial Property Assessment of Clean Energy. Do I need a motion? Mr. Nicholson, do I have a second? Mr. Williamson, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Go down to appointments. We're going to do these individually. We have a resolution appointing William Mathau as trustee of West Brooklyn Fire Department Protection District. Do I have a first? A motion, Mr. Norberg. Do I have a second? Ms. Allen? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution appointing Charles Beckman to Lee County Planning Commission. Mr. Kitson, Mr. Sheeline seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have a resolution appointing Walter Kent as Commissioner of Maple Grove Drainage District. Do I have a first? Motion. Mr. Nicholson, Mr. Norberg seconds it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I'm going to abstain on that. You can note that. We'll go to D, appointments under D. We need to approve the committee appointments, though. The UTV committee appointments, as in your packet, it's a resolution. We're just doing some housekeeping. Do I have a motion to approve that? Mr. Kitson, do I have a second? Mr. Copine, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we go to E. We have a resolution appointing to the Board of Directors of Quad City Health Insurance Pool, called Q-CHIP for short, acronym. We're going to appoint Wendy Ryerson at the time being for that. Mr. Sheeline moves. Do I have a second? Mr. Kitson, any discussion?
I'd like to indicate that it's the administrator, not specifically Ms. Ryerson's, just so that way it's in the future.
I didn't hear you.
It's the administrator is who's being appointed, not one person in specifically, just so you're clear.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I don't have an executive session unless Charlie does. Nothing going. Mileage and per diem, we need to, Mr. Nicholson, you have a second? Mr. Palin? Any discussion? All those in favor of paying mileage and per diem signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All bills and appropriations allowed by roll call vote. Mr. Norberg, do I have a second? Mr. Kitson, any discussion? We'll have a roll call vote on that.
Allen,
Yes.
Book,
Yes.
Barster,
Yes.
Horstman,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copain,
Yes.
McLean, Minime,
Yes.
Naylor,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Norberg,
Yes.
Palin,
Yes.
Sheeline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Scrogstad,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Motion carried. Motion to adjourn. Mr. Kitson, Mr. Wareham. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Thank you.